Hello, I'm Amanda Devlin, Assistant Showbiz Editor at The Sun, and I'm here with Ryan-Mark from Celebs Go Dating Series 12. We're going to get all the juicy gossip from him.
I'm going to try to be on my best behaviour.
Okay, so let's dive right in.
Yes,
And I think we
please.
should be like Lottie and just put it all out there, which she seems to be doing in every single episode so far. What do we make of her sex chat?
I'm kind of torn, actually. I'm a bit divided, and I'm sure a lot of viewers at home are similar. I think she's very candid about her sex life. The agents have got a brand new agent, so Anna and Paul are joined by Dr. Tara. And I guess her role on the show is to promote positive sexual talk. Mm-hmm. So I guess in that regard, she's kind of living up to what Dr. Tara wants the celebrities to be like. I think it's just a bit too much, and I think she's coming across like a sex addict. Sex. I think in one of the episodes, she was asking her date if he wants to be I just think there's no limit to what she's willing to talk about. And I kind of appreciate it because I was similar to her really on my series, maybe not so much about the sex, but I didn't hold back. So I kind of love it. Sometimes I think it's a bit uncomfortable.
Do we think she's doing it as a bit of a defence barrier? You know, she seems really confident, but actually we saw a kind of softer side of hers, opening up about her insecurities. How do you see her journey sort of going forward with the agents? Do you think they'll be able to calm her down slightly?
Well, I know Anna and Paul are really expert. They're able to crack the toughest of nuts. I mean, they cracked me by the end of my series, and I ended up crying and asking for champagne instead of Prosecco. But yeah, you saw a bit of vulnerability in Lottie when she was talking about the trouble she's experienced, and she broke down in the agency. And I feel like there is definitely a barrier that she presents. I think there's a bit of a facade, and I think she masquerades her insecurities by her intense sexual talk. I think that's her defence barrier. So she'll go into a date, she's probably nervous, she's damaged, it seems, and then she'll just talk about and for her, that's just a perfect barrier because you're completely deflecting from all of the personal insecurities that she suffers from.
So what do you think about the guys though? Because they seem to sort of be enjoying it and encouraging her almost.
Yeah, I think they lap it up really. She is Kate Moss's half-sister, so she has a very appealing look. I can see that she's very model-esque and she has modelled in the past, and I think they love all of that, and I think they're kind of turned on by all of the sexual chatter. Maybe as a viewer, I'm a bit uncomfortable, but I think the dates, they are loving it by the looks of it.
Although it is quite funny, I mean, the way that she started off doing it, it's just how often now it seems to be just pushing it too far, and then you can see people on Twitter or X, whatever we call it nowadays, they're all saying, you know, it's just a bit too much, and they like you feel very uncomfortable. The next thing I want to talk about is the rivalry with Lottie and Chloe, which I find as a girl's girl like quite jarring because they were really competing with each other, and I didn't like the fact that they were put to have the same date with the same guy on the same day, and it was too much competition and rivalry for me. What did you think?
You didn't appreciate it?
No, I didn't
really?
like it. I think it was just putting the girls against each other.
I think it's great. I think it just makes
well, it's good for TV, isn't it?
It's good TV. Like, I was at home thinking, gosh, who is he going to choose? Chloe's gorgeous, Lottie's gorgeous. It's serious competition, but I just think it makes it so spicy for the viewers.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess one of the guys, I think they're both interested in the same guy.
Yeah.
Watching both dates, they look great. They both were having an amazing time. I think Lottie's date was definitely a bit more sexual, but I guess it's going to be in his hands then to choose who he wants to see next.
But do you think it's, aside from the entertainment side of it, do you think it's fair to sort of put the women in that way against each other sort of so early on, because they are very vulnerable at the moment? They haven't had all their therapy sessions, and they are keeping their cards close to their chest, and then suddenly they're put in this situation where actually they're sort of fighting over the same guy.
Well, I guess that was really their prerogative, to be honest with you. The agent sent them to the mixer, and there were plenty of guys to choose from. I think it was just a coincidence that... Yeah, I mean, there was a huge pool. We watched the mixer, there were a lot of guys there. When I've been to my mixers, there's a lot of people there. Yeah. There's not just two guys to choose from. there was Gary, who Vanessa was speaking to, the bald guy with the glasses. I mean, he was an option. So yes, I think if they wanted to respect each other's boundaries, then perhaps they should have had a discussion on the side and said, look, I'm interested in Finn, I'm interested in the Scottish guy, I forgot his name, the one that smells delicious.
Yeah.
Can we decide amongst ourselves who we will go after? I don't think that's for the agents to force that upon them.
Okay. And do you think there will have been any squabbles sort of backstage? Have you heard any rumours about the girls and how they've got on?
Yeah, I haven't heard any rumours. I know when I filmed my series of Celebs Go Dating, the girls in my series were definitely quite bitchy and catty behind the scenes. There was definitely a lot of rivalry, especially at mixers. I remember for my mixer, Jessica Power from Married at First Sight Australia arrived as a bombshell.
Yeah.
And she's gorgeous. She's a big character, big personality. All of the guys were turning their heads when she walked in.
Yeah.
And I was hearing all kinds of whispers and rumours behind the scenes. So I think, yeah, there's definitely a lot of rivalry that you don't get to see on screen.
Oh, I wish we could.
I know.
that
There should be
side
a
of
whole
it.
new spin-off on E4.
I want to talk about Vanessa. So Vanessa is really interesting. Obviously, she's one of ours in News UK. We love her, and I always see her about, and she always looks so glamorous and lovely. But she seems to be, I mean, this is just my opinion, quite judgmental about the men that she's being put with initially.
Yes.
There's this sort of, something's a bit of a turn off instantly, whether that's she doesn't have that spark, or it's the attraction, whatever it is. How did you sort of perceive her in the first week of Celebs Go Dating?
Yeah, I was pretty shocked. I mean, she was visibly nervous at the mixer. She was seeking Paul's comfort, and she was visibly scared. It seemed that way. She was sheepish, she was quite shy, and I don't really see Vanessa, when you think of Vanessa Feuds, you don't really attach those words to her. So I think she was definitely out of her comfort zone. I mean, to be fair to her, she was in a relationship for 17 years. She's completely rusty. So throwing herself into a mixer is throwing herself completely into the deep end, and I think she did pretty well. And to be honest with you, the pool of guys she had to choose from in her age bracket were not good at all. I think they were atrocious. I'm totally on her side. I wouldn't have stepped foot near half of the dates that she was talking to. I would have been like Mark Francis and sitting on the grass as far away as possible from all of those mixies. I was pretty shocked by how judgmental she has been superficially on the guys. Because she's such an intellect, she's such a wordsmith, very academic, Cambridge graduate, I thought she might have appreciated the intellectual sides of people more so than just the physical appearance. But yeah, as soon as the agents put up one of her next dates on the screen at the agency, boom, is he smiling? Is he frowning? You can tell that she's not up for it, she's not keen. But yeah, I thought she would have appreciated maybe the brains, not just the beauty.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do we think she'll go from here? Do you think that that's part of her sort of journey that they talk about in Celebs Go Dating, where they'll be able to, crack it? Will they be able to convince her that actually, no, it's not all about looks, and that she can find someone who maybe isn't her type?
I don't know. I feel like you can tell sometimes when different celebrities are going on journeys, and I could tell in my series what celebrity was going on their journey. But with her, I feel like that's not going to change. I feel like she's very focused on what she likes.
Interesting. Okay.
And I think she's not really going to steer away from that. And, she's a powerful woman. She knows and appreciates the finer things in life, and I think that goes for men as well. She's not just going to accept anyone.
I think, though, what I am kind of worried about, I guess, with her is that perhaps she's just not ready. She was in a huge long-term relationship, and it sadly didn't work out, and it didn't end very well. So was this maybe filmed sort of a bit too soon? She maybe got into it and she's not quite ready?
Could be a bit of that. I think it's still very raw. They were talking about it at the agency as well. Anna and Paul kind of broke down or tried to understand a bit more about what happened in her past relationship, and she said she doesn't really know. That I think there's still a lot of ambiguity and confusion over what exactly happened. So yes, I think it's still very emotional. And when they asked her about Ben, her ex, she kind of said she was happy to love him. And I think that could have been particularly hurtful because I know Ben, and from conversations, he was aware that the love was authentic and the love was real and genuine. So hearing that was, for him, incredibly disheartening.
That's really sad. So he's been finding it quite difficult to watch and listen to what's been said about him, because she did open up quite a lot this week about being lied to, and their relationship being maybe not as it seemed from the outside.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know the full ins and outs, but it's, I think, a very tough situation. What's happened, it's a nearly 2-decade relationship that's just completely and almost instantaneously collapsed. And yeah, I think it's very raw on both sides, and she's being very candid. And for Ben, naturally, I think for any ex, it would be difficult to see someone you've loved for nearly 20 years be so open on national television about a very private relationship. So I think, yes, of course, him and I think anyone going through that would find it really difficult. But look, I'm not choosing sides. I love both of them. I've never met Vanessa. I've met Ben. And from what I have seen and heard, they're amazing people. So I would love for one day them to get back together.
Oh my goodness, do you think that could happen?
Ben's told me that I would get on with Vanessa like a house on fire. So I would love to, I'd love to be invited around.
Yeah. So let's talk about Mark. He's been my standout so far, mainly because, I mean, he's so rude and I love it. He's coming across exactly how he did on Made in Chelsea, but we're just getting this like really in-depth look at him. Is that all a complete bravado? What do we think?
I definitely think it's a bit of an act. In a similar way to Lottie, I think when she talks about her sexual tendencies and her kinks, I think for him, he puts up a barrier and he puts on this character. It's a caricature, I would say, but I think he's fabulous. And I've met him before, we've had drinks at Soho House, and I really like him. I think he's a very down-to-earth guy off screen. He's hilarious, and he's a real personality, and I think he's injecting that into this series of Celebs Go Dating. Exactly what we saw Made in Chelsea. It's a shame he doesn't do it as much anymore, but I remember watching the OG Made in Chelsea with Jamie Lang, Spencer Matthews, Louise Thompson, and Mark Francis and Victoria. We saw a glimpse of Victoria, actually, so it was good to see them reunited really nice. On Celebs. But yeah, I definitely think it's a bit of a barrier, a bit of a defensive act, and I just want him to calm down a bit. I know it's hilarious and it's violently entertaining, but I just want him to kind of show that down-to-earth nature that I've seen with my own eyes and that I've enjoyed over cocktails. I think if he gives the dates a glimpse of that personality, they're going to fall in love. I think he has he looks great, his personality's great, he just needs to let them in a bit, and I think they'll love it.
What do you think of the comparisons that some fans have drawn between you two?
Well, I kind of understand because, look, we're both very witty, we both have a lot of one-liners, so I can understand that, but Mark and I are very different. He's very polite on the dates. That's what I've noticed. Like, to their face, he will be very, very polite.
To their face?
To their face, he'll be the most polite person you could meet, and he's getting great scores and they want to see him again, but he says all of the bitchy stuff off the dates. Like, when he's at the agency and he's doing the pieces to camera, he's telling us exactly what's on his mind. So I'm not like that. If I'm not feeling it, if I don't like that situation, if I'm not enjoying the date, I'm just going to say it on the date. I don't really want to save it for when they're not there. I haven't got the patience. I would just say it. So I think, that's the clear difference.
Chloe, she, we saw her really emotional this week. There's been quite a few of them that have broken down really early on.
Yeah.
And she was talking about her relationship with Toby, and I know you've worked with Toby in the past. How did you feel sort of watching her? Do you again kind of think like Vanessa, where it's quite early days, maybe they're just not ready to sort of be in a new relationship?
Yeah, it could be similar. I think maybe the situation between Chloe and Toby Vanessa and Ben are sensitive. So I think they share similarities in what they've been through, Chloe and Vanessa. And yes, like you said, I have worked with Toby. We worked on a social media project last year, a few projects last year. And Chloe, after we finished filming, would come and meet him. And yeah, they always seem very loving, very tactile, very warm, cuddly, friendly, all of the things you would expect in a healthy relationship. So it's a shame it's broken down. Toby's a great guy, really fun to work with. And when I met Chloe last year, she was amazing. Just as I'm seeing her on Celebs Go Dating,
she's very genuine, I think.
Yeah, massively. And she's a real injection of fun and laughter, which that series, Celebs needs that.
Yeah, a Love Island bad boy, notoriously, is Adam Collard. So we've seen so much this week already. I just feel like it's been so jam-packed with drama. Him and Lottie, something going on behind the scenes. What do we think of this relationship? And do you think, as someone who's been in the agency, that should be allowed for celebrities to get together?
Yeah, I know it's always a sticking point for the agents. I think one of the biggest rules they have, and it seems to always be broken every single year.
Yeah.
We see Celebs Go Dating on TV. I feel like that rule should be broken. I don't really know why it exists. I can kind of understand because the agents want the celebrity clients to branch out. Perhaps that's where they've been going wrong, and that's why they're at the agency, because they're dating celebrities, other celebrities, and those relationships are failing. So they want them to date members of the public and to see how that works. So I get why they have it in place, but I think it's a silly rule because it's always broken. And I think, it should be broken. If I were working at the agency, I would encourage it. I would say, if you fancy another celebrity, go for it. And clearly there's an attraction between Lottie and Adam.
They are both stunning. So.
Yeah, like Lottie's fabulous, he's amazing.
But do you think that there's an element of game playing in there? Because like you said, every year there seems to be another couple who get together who are celebrities. So do you think that with Adam and Lottie, do you think it's genuine?
But I really can't see it going beyond the series. They're very flirtatious, they're very attractive, and when it comes to going out, events, clubbing, parties, I really feel like especially Adam has a wandering eye and he will probably be swayed to some other girl with big boobs. I just really can't see it lasting. And the same with Lottie. She's very naughty, she's very cheeky, she doesn't obey the rules, and I think the same applies when she's in a relationship. I really think it's going to fade away in a matter of days, to be honest.
And finally, Spuds, who has been very cute, cheeky, never been in a relationship, is flirting, seems to be getting the girls really well so far. What do you think of him?
Yeah, I think he is... I think he adds a bit of lightness to the show. I think he's flirty and he's cheeky, like you said, and he has no inhibitions, and it's fun to see him on dates. I think the date he had most recently was uncomfortable. It looked like she was uncomfortable anyway. She looked miserable anyway, regardless of what he was up to. But yeah, I think she gave him... I think he gave her the ick. So, maybe he needs to tame it down a bit. I get his personality online is just fully energized and loud and crazy, prankster, whatever. I don't really tune into his content, but let's see how it goes. I think he just adds a bit of light-hearted fun.
Right, let's do some predictions for the series. So who do we think is going to be the naughtiest? Maybe who is breaking the rules, who maybe has sex at some point during the series? What do we think?
I would say the naughtiest will probably be Lottie. I feel like
I'm
she's...
shocked.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that comes as any surprise. I think she's definitely the most rebellious. Even Chloe, she's very cheeky and loud, but not as naughty as Lottie. I feel like Lottie...
Lottie.
I feel like Lottie is one of those students you get at school. I was like this as well, that's always in trouble with the teachers, always in detention, excluded, and I feel like the agents are going to have a similar ordeal.
Yeah. Okay, biggest crybaby, someone who's going to always break down in tears in every situation. We've had a few frontrunners, I think, so far.
Well, I definitely don't think it's Mark Francis. I think he's so reserved. You might get a bit of dust coming from his eye. I don't think you'll get any tears. We have seen a lot of tears so far. Chloe's cried, Lottie's cried. It's not going to be Adam. I don't think it's going to be Spuds. Vanessa's been emotional, but I don't think she's cried.
No.
So I would say it's going to be between Chloe and Lottie. Probably Chloe, because I think everything she's been through with Toby, that heartbreak that she spoke about, I think she's still processing that. So probably her.
Biggest game player?
Biggest game player. It's difficult because it's not really a competition, but I guess it could be seen as a competition in terms of which celebrity is going to find love by the finale. So,
But I guess game player could be interpreted as in they're kind of being a bit fake about their dates, about the journey that they're on, or...
I get a feeling that Mark Francis hasn't got his full heart in dating.
Yeah.
I feel like he's got a very, very specific type. He's a man of extraordinary standards, and I feel like the agents are going to have a very hard time finding someone that's compatible or someone that Mark is going to accept into his life. So he might just skate along the process, I'm guessing, until it's over, and then he's going to be like, Celebs, I'm going to get a plane to the south of France and just have some champagne. I think maybe that's his game plan.
And most difficult?
Most difficult. I guess that's like being naughty. Most difficult, I think Vanessa, in terms of, I think there's a slight nuance difference in terms of she will be hard to get answers from. She's a journalist, she's a broadcaster, she's used to asking the questions. So I think when the roles are reversed and the agents are asking her questions, she knows what to withhold, she knows what to say without giving too much away. So I think she'll be very tactical.
The most well-behaved, so someone who is actually really taking the whole experience seriously. It's not just a TV show for them, they're really in it to find love.
I think the most well-behaved is definitely going to be Spuds. I feel like he wants to find love. He looks like he really wants to find love, and I think he's open to finding love. I think he's been so polite to all of the dates, really genuine. He seems like a really fun, comical guy, and probably someone that's maybe the most deserving of finding love. And I think he's going to listen to the agents, take on their advice, and emulate it on the dates.
And the funniest?
The funniest, for me, I think obviously that's very subjective. I'm really enjoying Vanessa's candidness, and I'm also enjoying Mark Francis's full transparency and honesty, and he just doesn't hold back, and I really appreciate all of those values. So yeah, when Vanessa was fuming after the boring date she had with the first date actually she's had in 17 years, and she really did not hold back, I thought that was just brilliant. So yeah, they are my two contenders for the most funniest, Mark Francis and Vanessa Feuds.
And thank you so much, Ryan-Mark, for joining us for the Celebs Go Dating Roundup. I'm sure we've got so much drama and gossip ahead.
For sure. Thank you.